That shouldn't surprise any of us. But they went in there and absolutely obliterated the Connecticut Sun tonight. Caitlyn Clark, big-time double-double. And before the game, Sophie Cunningham was asked about her comments that she made where she stood up for women.
Alyssa Amoro laid a hit so dirty on Sophie Cunningham that the entire arena went silent, and in that split second of chaos, nobody realized they had just made the biggest mistake of their season. Welcome to Hoops Pill TV. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because what happened next is something you need to see. Every sport has unwritten rules, and if you break them, there are always consequences waiting on the other side. But the Connecticut Sun apparently didn't get that memo when they walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse on the same night Caitlyn Clark was announced as the first woman to ever land the global cover of NBA 2K27. And what unfolded over the next 27 minutes was one of the most perfectly calculated revenge performances basketball has seen in years, the kind of game where you can actually see a player flip a switch and enter a different zone completely.
Work, pre-order NBA 2K27 now. I've taken a break from 2K. I haven't played 2K in the last 6 years. I'm not going to play. It's the same game, repackaged over and over again. But Caitlyn Clark on the cover. Love to see it. Caitlyn Clark on the cover. Absolutely loved it. This should have happened year one. This should have happened year two. But you know what? They're not just going to throw her on the WNBA edition like Angel Reese and Asia Wilson. She's not going to get a participation trophy like those two. Oh yeah, here you go, WNBA edition. Oh, really, for me? Nah, CC, don't worry, Caitlyn.
Before tip-off, the arena was already electric, but then the news dropped that sent shockwaves through the entire league. Caitlyn Clark wasn't just getting the WNBA edition cover like the players before her. She was getting the global cover, the same honor reserved for NBA superstars like Victor Wembanyama and Derrick Rose, which means in one afternoon, she became the undisputed face of basketball at a level that no woman in this sport had ever reached before. And she spoke about it being surreal, remembering as a kid how she'd always wonder who the next cover star would be, and now she was using that moment to talk about what it meant for the entire women's game and what it meant for young girls watching.
Crap, beat the assist in just 27 minutes. Indiana Fever beat the absolute dog versus the Connecticut Sun. 27 points, 11. Caitlyn Clark put on an absolute dominant performance. Show in the business. Must-see television. A masterclass. This is why she is the best. There's nothing anybody can do. This was way today. When the GOAT has the ball in her hands, of getting the hell out of Caitlyn Clark. You did a great job coaching, that you did a great job.
The Connecticut Sun came into this game having already prepared their game plan on film, and what they found was simple and terrifying. There was no way to stop Caitlyn Clark from deep, no way to match her speed, no way to keep up with her vision, so instead of trying to win the basketball game the right way, they decided to get physical, to target Sophie Cunningham, to send a message that they weren't going to be bullied by this young Fever team. And that's when Alyssa Amoro made her move with a hit so unnecessary and so intentional that you could hear the thud when Cunningham hit the floor all the way up in the broadcast booth.
She made it. If teammates could have made some shots, she might have had 16, 17, 18 assists tonight. There were a lot of shots missed on passes. This game fast. She never really took her foot off the pedal at all. And I got it. Wow. Yeah, and Caitlyn Clark started the record for points in the first half of a game with 70 tonight. 88. The Indiana Fever set will be suspended. I hope they rescind this one because I thought it was complete bullshit. You see that score, 123 technicals for Sanaya Rivers and Caitlyn Clark, who exchanged words after a Connecticut foul. That's 7 technicals for Caitlyn Clark, one more, and she will about it. Now, right here, double tech with half a brain cell today. No doubt. From anybody.
For one moment, the whole arena held its breath. Trainers were ready to move, and the Connecticut bench probably thought they'd just cracked Indiana's confidence and thrown their rhythm off. But they had no idea who they were actually dealing with, because Sophie Cunningham isn't wired like most players. She's tough in a way that doesn't require theatrics or falling down and staying there. She popped right back up instantly without flinching and jumped straight back into the play, sending one crystal clear message to to everyone watching that this Fever team would not be bullied and would not be intimidated by cheap shots.
She hit, what, 5 threes in the first half? This girl's unguardable, man. Is wrong. Pump fake, step back, cash. Something you need to check into a mental ward. Solution, Caitlyn Clark, you either drunk, on drugs, you're delusional. If you think there's anybody as good as in basketball, can't be stopped. A pass to Aaliyah Boston, man. Caitlyn Clark, what a Hawkeye arena. Pulling up, she's pulling up from 3. Baghdad, they can't stop her. She's nothing easy for Caitlyn Clark. She's unguardable. No stop her, they ain't even call it. Reverse is too getting into the lane. And one, you can't from the parking lot where it's $50 to park at. Put up from the parking lot. Pull up again. Y'all can't stop her. Snatch back. Pull it in. Bang. Baghdad. First game on a show. Loading up threes. First play of the can't stop CC.
Tail up. People don't.
Let's take a look at these highlights, man. Caitlyn Clark, man. Highlights. Please. Let's get into these GOAT highlights, please. Efficient clip. Aaliyah Boston had 20 points, 20 minutes. I mean, damn, they beat the hell out the Connecticut Sun. Let's get a look. Backcourt. Kelsey Mitchell's passing the ball. The girl shoots at Clark and Kelsey Mitchell are an unguardable.
The moment Cunningham got back up, something shifted in the energy of the building. And more importantly, something shifted in Caitlyn Clark's eyes. Because all that pregame joy from the 2K announcement had vanished completely, replaced by something colder and sharper and infinitely more dangerous. She wasn't yelling at officials or throwing her arms up for attention. She just stood there locked in, staring straight through the Connecticut bench with an expression that said everything without saying anything at all. And right then the Sun had already written their own ending without even realizing it. What happened next was absolutely surgical, because Clark didn't just start playing better. She started playing at a level of dominance that the league rarely gets to witness. And Indiana abandoned their normal offensive sets to simply dismantle Connecticut possession after possession with precision that looked almost intentional in its brutality, pulling up from the logo like it was a layup line, drilling shot after shot with a coldness that drained the energy out of every defender on the floor. And every time the Sun tried to trap her or double her or run her off screens, she made it look effortless. The whole game turned into her personal show, running entirely at her pace on her terms, blind passes threading through gaps that shouldn't have existed, behind-the-back deliveries that left defenders confused. She was slicing through their defense like she'd studied every single vulnerability beforehand and had a personal vendetta against every gap in their coverage. And you could see it in the faces of Connecticut's players. Fear, exhaustion, total collapse. The realization that they were stuck inside a disaster they had built themselves, standing across from a talent who had absolutely zero interest in showing mercy. By halftime, Indiana had set a record with 70 points in a single half, and Caitlyn Clark had already flipped the entire momentum of the game so completely that there was no coming back from it. She wasn't just scoring, she was making her teammates better, she was controlling the pace, she was making decisions that put Connecticut in impossible positions defensively, and if her teammates had made even a few more of the open shots she was creating. Her assist total could have easily been 16, 17, maybe even 18 by the end of the night. The Connecticut Sun walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse thinking they could physically intimidate a young Fever team. But what they actually did was hand Caitlyn Clark the perfect motivation at the absolute worst possible moment for them. They gave her a reason to flip that switch, to enter that zone where she's practically unguardable, and they learned an incredibly expensive lesson about the unwritten rules of basketball, because when you come for someone's teammates, especially Sophie Cunningham, you're not just getting that player on that night, you're getting an entire roster playing with a unified purpose and a message to send. What this game really represented was a turning point in how the league views this Fever team, because they're no longer the young, inexperienced roster that teams think they can push around. They're a family that will respond to disrespect with absolute dominance on a national stage. And every front office in the league got the message loud and clear that if you decide to test Indiana with cheap shots or dirty plays, you should be ready for the kind of storm that came down on Connecticut that night, because this roster has a generational talent who will make you regret it in ways you won't forget. The path to a championship in the wnba right now runs straight through Indiana, and that's no longer a controversial statement or a hot take. It's just the reality of what's happening when you have a player like Caitlyn Clark who will defend her teammates, who will take a personal slight and turn it into 27 points and 11 assists in 27 minutes, who will use a milestone moment like a global 2K cover as fuel to deliver one of the most dominant performances of the season, and who has the support of a roster that's willing to play with that same intensity and purpose on every single possession. Connecticut poked the wrong team on the wrong night, and paid the ultimate price.